What is good, guys? Welcome to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo. I'm your host, Ronald Cabang, also known as UCapper on SportsMemo.com and on Twitter at U_Capper. Before we get into the three games today, we always got to talk about the promos. And it is Monday, and every Monday is $9 Monday, which means you can get any pick or package from your favorite SportsMemo capper for just $9 today on the website. We also have a 7-day all access pass for $69 with the promo code MEMO7. This code can actually be used many times, like multiple times throughout the week until Sunday at midnight. And a lot of us over at sportsmemo.com, we cap a whole bunch of sports, tennis, football, soccer, all that stuff is going on. So I would say take advantage of this 7-day all access pass and see who you want to rock with as far as the cappers moving on, especially in these next few months where there's going to be all these sports going on at the same time. Even the World Cup is coming up next week, so we'll see how that goes. So just head over to sportsmemo.com after the show and snatch up some deals. With that said, let's bring our guys back. Bring our guys up on the panel. We got Moneyline Matt as always, and Dr. Chuck today here on Monday. It was a pretty flat weekend for me. Kind of just like a roller coaster ride. Going with all NBA, football, college basketball, college football, all that stuff going on. How was your guys' weekend? Dr. Chuck, let's start with you.
Yeah, it did kind of turn out flat. I had a decent sized NFL card and it was pretty even. And NBA, we were pretty solid with NBA yesterday, and we swept the college basketball card, which is just now starting out and what we need badly after how last season ended. So I like the way college basketball started out and almost swept the NBA night. Just needed Clay one more point, 17 and a half. That's painful, but we're back at it right again today, and we have a 5-unit play in the Monday Night Football game as well.
Nice. Yeah, Monday. I forgot about Monday Night Football. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, right?
So much stuff going on. Matt, how was your weekend?
It was another good weekend. Not crazy. I went 12-10 overall. Not on the weekend, but throughout the course of the week, went 12-10. I think on the weekend I was 5-4, 6-4, somewhere in that range. So still just above 500. But one of those was a 3-team plus 150 parlay that I put out for 3 units. So that was a nice hit right there. So again, all in all, pretty successful in the NBA. The NBA has probably been my most successful sport thus far. And, it's funny. On Saturdays when college football is on, I still find myself diving into the NBA, and I'm watching the NBA on Saturdays and trying to find different angles and lines that we can take advantage of. So really, for me, the NBA is probably number 2 to only the NFL. But I just love paying attention anytime the NBA is on, breaking down slates, player props, everything, man.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love to hear it, especially when we're doing an NBA show. So if your best show, your best sport is the NBA, this is why we're here. All right, let's get to the slate today. Suns Heat is game 1 here. Suns are 8-4, coming off an outright loss to the Magic on Friday. This is their last game of a 4-game road trip, though, and they didn't have to travel too far, going from Orlando to Miami. Miami 6-7 on a 2-game winning streak. Both games to the Hornets, though. And this is their last game of a 4-game homestand, and then they head on the road for 4 straight games. As far as the injury report, Landry Shamet and Cam Johnson are out for the Suns. I think CP3 is he's missed the last 2 games, and I believe he's questionable tonight. For the Heat, Oladipo and Yurtseven are out. I think Dwayne Desmond or whatever his name is and Harrell are both questionable from Miami. Chuck, Matt, let's start with you on this one.
Okay. Cool. So for this one, I'm not going to lie. What you just said kind of swayed my mind a little bit. The fact that because when a team has their last home game and they're going out on a road trip, I know they really want to get that game. They want to get that game before going out on their road trip. We talked about that with last Friday, I believe it was, with the San Antonio Spurs and the Milwaukee Bucks when it was the last home game for the Spurs. And that was eventually what made me go with the Spurs. But here, I'm still going to ride with the Phoenix Suns, all right? And here's why. For one, Chris Paul is a true game-time decision. I do think he's going to play in that game, and this is just a different Suns team when Chris Paul is in the game. Like you said, to your point, the Heat are still without Tyler Herro, Oladipo, Dwayne Dedmon is a game-time decision. And, if Dwayne Dedmon doesn't play, that is a significant loss in terms of the backup center to Bam Adebayo. They don't really have any tall bodies after Dwayne Dedmon. And now when looking at the Phoenix Suns, they are coming off a loss to the Orlando Magic, still on the road. And Miami, one thing that does keep me with the Suns here is the fact that Miami has already won 2 in a row. I think if they were coming off a loss or something along those lines, they might put a lot more effort, and this game might be a lot more important to them against the Phoenix Suns. But, with winning 2 in a row, I still lean towards the Suns here because they're coming off that loss, potentially getting Chris Paul back. And, Devin Booker hasn't been playing, as good as he has in the beginning of this NBA season. So I think this is actually a great spot for Devin Booker to come in, take control early in this game. He's one of the best first quarter shooters throughout the entire NBA, averaging just under 9 points per game. So I like him to get this team going. And then honestly, anytime Chris Paul is slated back into that lineup, I know we still have to wait on news, but I do think Chris Paul is going to play in this game. And if he does, I think that's just an added boost for the entire team. And I think they get this win on the road against the Heat.
Yeah, obviously CP3 is going to be a big factor of how I play this game specifically. I know I just want to wait. Some of these teams, man, they don't follow the injury report rules, and you never know what's going to happen. And right now, to me, for this game, I'm just going to wait until we hear the news. He's missed the last 2 games already. And both games were on the road to the Wolves and the Magic. I know it's a small sample size, just 2 games, but the Suns do have a slight uptick in pace without Chris Paul in the lineup. And then their offensive rating, it doesn't take much of a hit, but where the big hit is on their defensive side of the ball. They're actually about a 10-point. They're about 10 points worse on their defensive rating when Chris Paul is not in the lineup. And then the Heat, they've actually looked a lot better offensively in their last few games. They won 4 of their last 6. And but that doesn't mean they're covering spreads here. So that's why I'm kind of staying away, because CP3 is just such a big factor in this game. And like what you just mentioned, right? They want to make sure the Heat on their side, they want to make sure they get this win before they go on the road trip. But at the same time, the Phoenix, they're having a bad road trip, so they want to come out, and Devin Booker wants to show out as well. So for me, I was actually looking towards the total here. The Heat are 5-1 to the over as favorites when the total is less than 220. So this one is at 215 or 215 and a half or something around there. So I think this is low enough that both of these teams can go over. They both play a slower pace in general. But at the same time, just a lot of the situational factors is making me look towards the over, especially with if Chris Paul is out. Then I would probably be playing this over on my card. But if he's in, it's probably just going to be a lean to the over, but not. I won't be playing it. What about you, Dr. Shuck?
Yeah, so you definitely ended up getting where I thought you were going, and that's where I am. Right off the bat, I would just say that I'm on the over here. A couple things that I guess Matt said, now I'm interested. So we don't know CP3 status, but Matt actually if we can go in discussion form here, yeah. Matt just mentioned that Tyler Hero is out. I didn't know that. Is he announced out? Is he not playing? Is that something that you guys have information on?
So from what I'm seeing from the website that I've checked, it has the O next to his name. It doesn't have the day-to-day or the game time decision. Are you seeing anything different?
I see game time decision.
Okay. I see game time decision as well.
Okay, so maybe he is a game time decision then.
So I mean, if he's, but yes, that is that he's important for an over.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because he's a chucker, which could be why this is 215. But you'll be interested, and Ron would be on top of this SDQL wise. The Suns are not commonly dogs with Chris Paul just on their team, whether or not he's playing or not. They've only been dogs 13 times. They actually, believe it or not, as much as you would think the books do this for a reason, they are 9-4 straight up and against the spread in that spot. But to Ron's point, they score a lot of points and they let the opponent score a lot of points. And the average total in those games comes up to 227. And so I love that 215. I would be worried if Hero is not in this game because I'm capping it as though he is. I would not be on the Suns. I don't know if I could go on the Heat here. I did like exactly where Matt was going with that last home game type thing, as well as the Suns being less on the road and not healthy. And, it is just Shamet and Johnson who are important over pieces because most of their shots are taken from beyond the arc and they shoot at a decent rate. But yeah, they just lose some on defense and they go more up tempo. And, Book is more likely to get a quicker shot or entice the team to get a quicker shot without CP3 in there. I think the over is good, even if Chris Paul is announced here, because I think this is a game they both want. If Hero and Chris Paul are in, I would love the over. If Hero and Chris Paul are in, I think that I would want the Heat. I just don't want anything to do with the books giving us a gift. This is what I call fade the bag. You're going to give me the team everybody knows has been the best team, especially regular season wise. And the Heat are completely underachieving. There's a lot of public bettors that are going to be just looking at the numbers in the parentheses next to the teams and see that the far better team is getting points, and they're going to want to be all over that. And that keeps me probably off the side, but I think this over is 5 points short. And as far as starting lineups go, Torrey Craig in the starting lineup is usually some low-hanging fruit to go over that PRA. It hasn't been 100%, but he's going to just fill it up and probably be something in the 11.5, 12.5 range, and he can almost do that with points on accident.
Yeah, I think the thing about Harrow is important as well. But if you look at Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, they've both been putting up double-digit points multiple games in a row for a while now. Yep. So I think even with Harrow out, I think the over could be good. Yep. But like I said, I'm not playing it unless Chris Paul is out.
Can I branch out real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah. So to your guys' point, so I just checked another website where it will confirm once the lineups are official. So it's not confirmed yet, but this website does have Chris Paul slated in and Tyler Harrow slated in right now. So, and to your guys' point, I really do like that angle because, when looking at this game, I like to see one side like needing a game more than another, or coming off 2 losses or something along those lines. So for me, it's a tough one to break down because the Suns coming off a loss against the Orlando Magic, a team they're far superior than. Miami Heat, last home game. So they're going to want to get that last home game before going out on that road trip. So to your guys' point, I do think both teams are going to put their best foot forward and play some good basketball here. So I do think that over is probably the best look. And in all honesty, after hearing you guys talk, it's kind of swayed me off of that Suns. And I think that over is the best bet because, again, these are two teams who both are going to want this game. They're both getting potentially some key players back, and Tyler Harrow, who scores a shit ton of points, and then Chris Paul, who helps to facilitate and get people better looks and open shots. So, again, I like that angle a lot.
And finally, to my point of I do want Tyler Harrow in the game, but what Ron was trying to say there was like if Tyler Harrow is out, it doesn't mean the Heat are shooting less threes. They shoot threes.
Yeah. Harrow's not a good defender. He's a great offensive player. He's not a good defender, going to be matched up with Devin Booker. So that's not the best. That means more points generally.
Yeah, more minutes for Robinson and more minutes for Strus just means more chucking. So,
also Gabe Vincent, too. So don't forget about him. I know Duncan Robinson, he's been someone that has kind of fallen off, but we'll see how that goes. I think for me, the most important piece is CP3. If he's in, I'm going to be off this game. If he's out, I'm taking that over real quick. All right, so next up, Hawks Bucks here. Hawks are 8-5, good for third in the East. They did lose to the Sixers in Philly on Saturday. This is a tough part of their schedule right now, and it doesn't get any easier with the Celtics coming up next. The Bucks are 10-2 this season. They've lost 2 of their last 3 games. Giannis has missed the last 2 games. They're starting a tough upcoming schedule as well. Hawks tonight, right? Then they got the Cavs, Sixers, Blazers, Bulls, Cavs again, and then the Mavs. This is a tough schedule spot for this Bucks team here coming up. And it's going to be interesting because I think Middleton is on his way to coming back to the squad. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, it's going to be a tough few games for these guys, and they're going to be shorthanded tonight. Drew out, Ingles out, Connaughton out, Middleton out, Grayson Allen and Giannis should be back in tonight. I'll just start this off. I mean, these two teams have faced each other already twice and split the games. Both home teams won. Bucks took care of business in Milwaukee, 123-115. Hawks won in Atlanta, 117-98. The biggest thing for me is Drew being out. And between the 2 games so far, Atlanta has been the more consistent team on the offensive side of the ball. And with Drew out, probably their best perimeter defender, obviously, him and Giannis are just 2 great defenders in general. But whoever guards the point guard, especially against Atlanta, who has Trey and DeJounte, that's going to be a big ask. And without Drew there, I think Atlanta could take advantage here. The Bucks defensive rating is close to 10 points worse without Drew in the lineup. So what I'm looking at here is the consistency in the last two matchups with the Hawks here, and the fact that Drew is going to be out. I would look towards the Hawks team total over 110.5. And also maybe props from a prop perspective, a look at Trey or DeJounte here with Drew out. Those are the ways that I would look at this game. I would want to stay away with the inconsistency with Milwaukee and all the injuries that they're going through right now. And Giannis coming back in their first game. So staying away from them completely, just focusing in on what I think the Hawks can do. And I think they can go over 110.5. I believe that's the number I saw last. So that's the way that I would go here. Whether they win or lose, doesn't matter. They just got to get over that 110. Dr. Chuck, let's start with you. Let's get you next on this one.
Yeah, and props to Matt from last week. Like Chris said, again, we're talking this matchup, switch of venues. He completely nailed it. He just outright opened his analysis by saying, I'm on the Hawks. I'm taking the Hawks. They're going to get this game, and then went on to why. And it really is. It's really going to be tough. The line reeks. Let's just say the line reeks. I see Giannis as game time decision. Obviously, he's playing because they're -4, and when everyone just saw them kind of get their ass handed to him by 20 points last week. This is not now they're laying 4 points, which I think is what they were favored in Atlanta, and so there's nothing about this that makes any sense to me. And we have a really big total here for the lineup that the Bucks are putting out there. Obviously whether or not it's, really important injuries or what's happening here, the Bucks have chosen to maybe come back to the pack a little bit, 10-0, and then these two games. And it's not been pretty either. Matt mentioned before with the Spurs, why was that line what it was? Obviously, Giannis wasn't playing. I guess Giannis is going to play. I don't know if he can do it all himself. Drew Holiday is really important, as Ron said, and that keeps me off of this completely. Nothing about this makes a lot of sense to me. So if I had to take a play on it, I would absolutely be on the under. If you're going to give me this 225, too many pieces missing, too much better defense when DeJounte's back there. It doesn't even matter if he's getting points on the other end because he's facilitating, and, Capella has been going insane whether or not he scores or not and protecting that paint. And he has kind of figured out maybe Giannis just a little bit, especially in the regular season, maybe what we saw last week. And I couldn't be on this unless it was going to be on the Hawks. And it just almost seems too easy. Even if Giannis is playing, it just seems too easy because it's basically going to be is Giannis out there with Javon Carter and Beauchamp and a bunch of other guys. I suppose Grayson Allen and Wesley Matthews are out there, but we're talking the Hawks are going to have the 5 next best players on the court after Giannis. And so, and you're getting 4 points with that. That really is tough to deal with.
Yeah, shout out to the chat. Everybody is popping in there. Star Child, Jesse. Welcome, Jesse here. Mitch Armstrong, Alex. These guys usually are in this chat and giving out plays and a lot of information here. I'm with Starchild here. I'm still leaning towards the over just because of the pace of play that Atlanta has, and also Drew just not being there. That's such a big defensive part of the Bucks here. Matt, what do you think on this total, and also maybe the prop side?
Yeah. So on this one, I actually have like 3 plays that I'm interested in.
There you go.
So, to Chuck's point, last time I was on the Atlanta Hawks, and, if you've been watching the show, I'm a situational bettor, I'm a spot bettor. So now I am flip-flopping. I am on the Milwaukee Bucks at -4, and I actually do like it, but you obviously need to confirm that Giannis is going to play. I do think Giannis is going to play. I think if indeed he does, his PRA is definitely worth a look. I'm sure it's going to be around the 50.5 range. But when you have no Drew Holiday, when you have no Chris Middleton, I think Pat Connaughton is out as well, you are going to get some crazy usage numbers from Giannis Antetokounmpo in this spot. Now, going back to the Bucks, though, again, I just like this spot. The Bucks are coming home after a 3-game road trip, and in their last game, they lost to the Spurs on the road. Again, we talked about that game. Thought that was a great spot game for the Spurs. Now I like this spot for the Bucks because, again, they're coming home after a 3-game road trip, and the Hawks are on a 2-game road trip after losing to the Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, it's a game they're going to want to get. They have some defenders who can slow Giannis down slightly, with John Collins, with Clint Capella in that middle. But when Giannis wants to go and get a game, he's a tough person to ever refuse to get that game. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be how this goes against the Atlanta Hawks. Another spot that I'm really definitely looking at tonight is Trae Young. If he's at 26.5, just take it every single time. The odds are going to be in your favor. If he's at 27.5, I still like it because, like we discussed, there is no Jrue Holiday in this matchup. And what the Milwaukee Bucks do and what the Atlanta Hawks do very, very well is they run that pick and roll offense. When they get around that pick and roll offense, you kind of have that soft zone where Brook Lopez drops back and you can get that floater game going. That's exactly what Trae Young does. That is his bread and butter. So I really do like Trae Young tonight. The over 26.5, over 27.5, it's probably at now, I would assume. I think that's a good spot. But all in all, the other spot that I'm with is the Milwaukee Bucks. I like this -4. Obviously confirmed that Giannis is in the game, but I think you're going to get crazy usage, and I think it's going to be one of those spots for Giannis where he just refuses to lose, and he takes over this game and wins it for the Milwaukee Bucks. Again, coming home after a 3-game road trip, they get this crowd into it. I like the Bucks tonight.
Yeah, man, those are 3 great looks there. Daniel, I see you on Detroit here telling the Detroit pick here, and I think we're gonna see something over in the best bet section, but we still got one more game to talk about here, the Spurs and the Warriors. Spurs are 6-7 coming off an outright win over the shorthanded Bucks team we just talked about. They didn't have Jrue or Giannis in there. Before that, they were on a 5-game skid. Warriors have been a sort of a surprise team in a bad way. 5-8 so far this season, coming off an outright loss to the Kings last night. So they're playing back-to-back. Dr. Check, how are you looking at this one here? Oh, I think you're on mute, bud.
On mute.
Yeah, there you go.
I said, yeah, it's just like we all drew it up, right? The Spurs would come to San Fran or Oakland and have a better record than the Jets, just like we drew it up. The Spurs, who I'm sure would rather be in the Wemby sweepstakes, are like hovering around 500 and we discussed last week the Warriors road trip from hell, and all kind of loved Matt's take on at least showing out in the first half. Well, they decided to play no defense, which seems to be a problem. I don't know if that's just a no Iguodala thing or if they're just kind of playing fat and happy. It's tough to figure out this team right now because everybody's coming for them. I can't imagine laying, I can't imagine laying the 7.5 until we kind of see how they play each team. This is still, it's still Pop versus Kerr, which is always something to, Matt talks about situational stuff. These guys don't want to hurt each other at all. And, this is not something where anybody is going to try and blow anyone out, no matter how bad the Warriors have been playing. Pretty big total here. There are going to be some serious props. I have props out already in this spot. I think there's a lot of value in situational stuff. I don't always. Matt brought up Giannis last game, and it's going to be something in the 50s for his PRA. That still might be right. It's kind of with Trae, 26.5 is what they put out there for the non-Luka, non-Giannis, whoever else type guys, Booker, Embiid, and all those guys are always going to be 26.5. It's a pretty solid bet. Curry doesn't get that either, but it's still been a solid play to the over. I think he thinks that he can put the team on his back and get them out of this. I would stay on Steph until you want to come off. I tried to outsmart the room and think that it was Clay's night last night, and he still only went for right at what the book hammered. I think there's a lot. I want to hear what Matt thinks on the prop market. I know him and I both really, really study that, and I wanted to see what he was saying with those 26.5s. Steph is sitting at 30.5. I still think that's pretty good. You just need 31 points. This is the kind of game where he's going to have 20 by the break. I don't think there's anything wrong with taking 30.5, and it's probably going to be less juice than to go on the under. But I don't want anything to do. I would probably lean on the over here. I think there's just going to be a lot of points and very little defense. The Warriors have shown it doesn't really matter who they're playing against, that they will let them do whatever they want as long as they can keep scoring as well. So big totals would normally make me think I wanted to be on the under, but that's kind of the opposite of how I play these. So I would be over or pass. And I just don't. I want to see what Matt thinks on this side, because I just don't think that I don't think I could stomach it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so I gotta play on this game that I'll be talking about during the best bet section. But like these two teams, right? They're both high pace, no defense, but they do turn the ball over at a high rate too. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on this one from the prop perspective and maybe the total as well?
Yeah, so I think this game has a couple different angles. For one, I like the Spurs side at the plus 7.5. I don't think I just can't see the Warriors, covering an 8-point spread right now, or I personally can't get behind that. I need to see a little more. There's just not enough defense from the Warriors, but the total, I really do like this over, at 233. These two teams love to get out and run. They are scorching fast. The Warriors are first in pace. The Spurs are sixth. The average time of possession on the offensive side of the ball, the Dubs are 11th throughout the NBA, and the Spurs are 13th. So that's how fast you're shooting within the shot clock. And again, when looking at Steph Curry, a lot of his game has always been his 3-point, his ability to create his own 3-point shot, hitting shit from the logo all over the place. But what I've been really impressed with this season is his ability to attack the basket. Like, the dude is making everything around the rim to this point in the season. And I think when you face a team like the San Antonio Spurs, it's only going to improve. So you want those players, maybe like an Andrew Wiggins as well, who's very good at attacking the basket, throwing it down, because this Spurs team is very soft and they love to get out and run. Again, Warriors being first in pace, Spurs being sixth. I think another good angle that you can look at is actually Draymond Green. Draymond Green loves to get out and run. When he can get out and run, he can get guys like Steph, Clay, Wiggins cutting to the basket, kind of all over the place. So I think his rebounds and assists is a good look. And I mean, if you want to get a little riskier and go PRA, again, when Draymond can get out and run, he can attack the basket a little bit better. Another thing, though, going back to this total, the Dubs are 26th in defense. The Spurs are 29th. And, to the chat's points right here, guys like Devin Vassell, he is balling, dude. He is playing great basketball on the outside. He's knocking down shots. His 3-point prop might be something to look at tonight, because the Warriors aren't closing out very well on defenders. Same thing with Trey Jones. Trey Jones can get out and run. He's a facilitator. He likes to get his guys involved. So I think Devin Vassell and Calvin Johnson might be some good looks tonight as well. But someone that I'm definitely looking at, Steph, obviously at 30.5, he's coming off a night where he missed that, I believe, and, that bounce back fashion. But again, that Draymond Green look is definitely interesting, I think, with the rebounds and assists, getting out and run. No one likes to get out and run more than Draymond Green. And I think it's a good spot for him tonight. So for me, the plays that I would be on would be Spurs plus 7.5, the over 233, and then maybe that Draymond Green look and the Steph Curry look. And then also coming back with Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson. If you're a same game parlay guy, this is the game. This is the game right here, because I think it stays close enough as well where you have opportunity with those same game parlays.
Yeah, I love that. I love that look, and also the addition of that same game parlay on this game specifically, because like we talk offline about it, about the predicting game flow, especially when both teams are high pace, both teams don't have they don't possess really good defense. The thing for me is just the fact that I feel like the efficiency numbers for the Spurs are a little bit like misleading, just because there was one game without Keldon Johnson where they got smashed 143 to 100. So a lot of the efficiency ratings and like a lot of their totals and stuff like that kind of are misleading because of that. And that kind of leads me to my best bet. My best bet, I'll just start it out because I'm already on this game, but Spurs and Warriors. For me, I'm going with the Spurs plus 7.5 here. I think from an injury perspective, there's nothing of importance, but this is the second leg of back-to-backs for the Warriors. I don't know. Sometimes I don't trust the Warriors with their injury report right now. I don't see anything there, but usually on the second of back-to-back, something goes off with them. And I don't know what it is, but I'd rather get the number now than later if someone sits out. The Warriors are struggling right now, like we've all been mentioning, primarily on the defensive side of the ball. They're turning over the ball at a high rate. The Spurs, they've actually been looking a lot better lately. They actually, in the last 3 games, they actually have a better net rating than the Warriors. During these 3 games, they beat the Bucks. Obviously, they were shorthanded. The Bucks were shorthanded, but they stuck with the Nuggets and the Grizzlies, and both were at full strength. So to me, it's going to be some time before I can kind of back the Warriors in this spot here when the line is this much. I would think the Warriors get the W at the end of the day, but 7.5 or 8, if you got 8 last night like we did, I think the Spurs keep it tight and cover that spread there. There's just a lot going on with this Warriors team that they need to fix as far as their rotation, and I don't think they're going to fix that overnight. So to me, Spurs plus 7.5. I did give it out to clients at plus 8 last night. That is my best bet. From the premium side, I do have 6 NBA plays already up, and I think that's going to be it. I'll probably add a Monday Night Football game tonight. Hopefully, I'm on the same side of Dr. Chuck here with his 5%er on Monday Night Football. But with that said, let's go to you, Dr. Chuck, with your what's your best bet for the show and what you got going on the premium side.
Yeah, well, I like that Spurs play, as I suppose I do. I wasn't very adamant about the fact that I would be on the Spurs in the over, but that's where I would be. Neither of those are plays that I have released, or maybe I don't know if I'm going to release to premium plays. A couple things real fast. Star Child, love Star Child's idea of live betting. Live betting is how you actually get rich in this business, to be honest. I love pre-flop betting and analyzing it and getting down on that. But yeah, I mean, maybe Star Child knows this too, that nobody gives up more second quarter points than the Warriors as well. To Eric Jones' point, me and Matt would like to do a side bet there on this game not seeing 220 points. That is really putting yourself out there, throwing away 2 touchdowns worth of points. Where I'm looking tonight is an interesting matchup for the Detroit boys, and especially Matt and our producer Chris, as Dwayne Casey, the Pistons head coach, gets to take on his old team again. He is 9-3 against the Raptors. Since he left the Raptors, he's 9-3 straight up and against the spread, facing his former team. Here he's getting handful of points. Find your best line. There's 4s out there. There's 4.5s out there. When I first went for this and was analyzing it, it was 5. Most everybody's out. Ron announced that even Trent is out. OG's out. Siakam is out. Van Fleet is out. Right behind Matt's head, Cade Cunningham is also out, and maybe that's supposed to be something that we largely take into account. But Sadiq has shown that he can step up. I thought Jaden Ivey would really step it up in that last game. I was big on his PRA with Cade being announced out. It's his show. He can show why he maybe could be the rookie of the year, and he did not impress for me. I think that he has another chance to do so. I love the Pistons to win this game as a home dog in this spot. Dwayne Casey's 5-2. And when the stars of the team weren't just Scotty Barnes and Precious Achiuwa, he was still beating them. Siakam and Van Fleet are putting up 50 combined points. They're still winning those games. And so I don't really mind that Cade's not in. I think the offense still finds a way, and we don't even have to have them win. I do think they win this game, and I would moneyline sprinkle it, but we don't have to have them win. When you have a full 4, it's not even a late loss type situation by the numbers. And so I love this. Get your best line, find a couple of props. I'm going to be on Jaden Ivey PRA over again. I think that's still the right play. And maybe Sadiq Bey over the 3s as well. He's going to get, there's got to be shots. All of Cade takes the most shots. The shots have to be dispersed about. And if you can find a prop bet with some Killian Hayes outs out there, people will remember that had my package last year that we rode Killian Hayes to the bank over and over and over every night. And I think that would be a good look as well. But best play tonight, Pistons plus 3, 4, 5, whatever you can find.
Yeah, a lot of injury stuff coming off with the Raptors. They're dealing with a lot. Matt, what's your best bet for today? And also, what do you got going on the premium side as well?
So right now on the premium side, I only have one play up, but I have not had a chance this morning to dive into player props. You guys know I love hitting my player props. So we'll definitely, I mean, honestly, every night I generally have around 4 or 5 plays. I think I already have around 90 NBA plays up, hitting around 55%. So far, so good. Definitely want to get that up a little more, hit some of my bigger plays, the 4 units and 5 units. But tonight we are going back to one of my cash cows. And I don't think it's been a cash cow for many people, but the Orlando Magic have been doing me right thus far in the season because I think they're an underrated team. And when you actually look at their lineup, they match up very well with a lot of opponents, okay? So with this Orlando Magic team, yes, I definitely think you need to gauge if Paolo Banchero is going to play. And he's one of my huge mismatches so far in the season. You know, this is a 6'10", 250-pound rookie who's been playing unbelievable basketball. And then you have other guys kind of filling in the blanks like Jalen Suggs. Franz Wagner has been playing very good basketball. Wendell Carter Jr., a very nice center who can stretch the floor. He can hit down some three-point shots. He rebounds very well. And then kind of the wild card is Bol, who's a 7-foot, really like just a lengthy, skinny guy. He's been hitting some threes and kind of just a weird guard for opponents in terms of facing them. And then even their bench, guys like RJ Hampton, Terrence Ross ain't that bad. And now tonight they're facing the Charlotte Hornets, who, yes, they do get LaMelo Ball back. Okay, so it's going to be the LaMelo Ball show and it's going to be the Terry Rozier show. And in the past, we've seen that doesn't always work. You know, Terry Rozier is somewhat of a streaky shooter. LaMelo Ball just sliding back into that lineup. So that can be a good thing or that can be somewhat of a negative thing because his feet might not be under him. And LaMelo Ball actually came out and said, if Dennis Smith Jr. did not go down with an injury, who is the team's backup point guard, he probably wouldn't be playing yet. Now, Dennis Smith Jr. is actually a game-time decision. So there's actually an outside chance that Dennis Smith Jr. plays, slides in, and LaMelo Ball decides to sit because of that. Again, an outside chance, but just kind of reiterating what was said before. Even if LaMelo Ball plays, though, I like the style of the Orlando Magic to go and get this game done. I think they're too tall inside in terms of Bol and Wendell Carter Jr. You know, they're locking down that middle. And I think they have more people or more players on that team who can get a shot and create shot and score points. For the Hornets, you have mostly just LaMelo Ball and Terry Rozier, like I was saying before. Yeah, PJ Washington now and then can contribute a little bit. Kelly Oubre Jr., God knows what you're going to get from that guy on any given night. So for me, I think the Magic are the more consistent team here, especially if Paolo Banchero plays. If he plays, I think he's a mismatch for anyone. So again, I like the Orlando Magic here. I think they're 3-0 for me on best bet. So let's see if we can make it 4-0. I'll take the Orlando Magic tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I think I talked to you. I mean, we did this on the show a few weeks ago when I said Orlando was going to be a play-on team really soon, and it had to do with their home stretch that they were going to have, right? Because they started off, I think 1-4 against the spread, and then in their last 5, 4-1. So I think though with Charlotte coming back and with LaMelo coming back, they might be a play-on team real soon as well. He just got to get his legs under him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think we had a really great show today. The chat was popping. I hope you guys come back again on Wednesday. And with that said, man, good luck with all your guys' action today. And we'll see you guys back on Wednesday. Peace.